All right. Welcome to our movement on Wednesdays. Um, for today, the habit for today, I don't know if you all look at your calendars, but they have the little printed on your calendars, the little printed like habit for the week. This week is it's kind of called take it on a walk. And you have so many habits that will already be great at taking on a walk or doing right before a walk. I'll show you a few that we'll do more of next week, isolated on their own, and kind of talk about going on walks, what you can do while you're on a walk, so it kind of gets you get more movement vitamins than even just the walk, and maybe some ideas of where to put those into your day. Do you, for those of you that are here right now, do you can thumbs up if you want, or however you want to kind of respond. Do you feel like now that the weather's getting nicer, do you have ways that you get kind of consistent walks in, or do you feel like not so much these days?
Yes, it's called a dog every day.
Dogs are so useful. I know I just became a dog mom this year for the first time. It's funny, I haven't been the one walking them, but I'm very passionate, and walking is so important. And walking alone is a movement vitamin. And one thing that I want to say about that, with your body and all the habits that we've been working on, walking is a repetitive movement, right? And depending on the other vitamins that our body has had that day or is getting in general, the way you walk is going to be different. So if you're doing some of the movement vitamins that we've been working on, even not necessarily directly before your walk, but if you've done some that day, or if you've done some consistently that week, your walk, your gait is going to be very different. And the more of you're doing these little bits of movement vitamins, the more you're going to keep these new patterns, right? If you walk with movement with the movement vitamins, you are using that repetitive pattern. If you're using that repetitive pattern that's slightly different and more aligned and more less compression on your joints, and you're going to kind of wear down that pattern in a good way, so that your body will naturally go toward that new way of moving rather than the old patterns of tight shoulders, or I talk about your butt being stuck to your hamstrings, that kind of thing. Like our sitting, when we take our sitting kind of posture and we go on a walk with it, it can be sticky, and kind of does this kind of other patterning, right? Um, so before we get moving and standing and doing some of our old review of what's going to unlock your pelvis and get those calves open, like the calf stretch, all the big things that'll get your legs ready for a good walk with kind of very stacked and set up well. While we're sitting, we'll work on this next week, but these are things you can work with your hands and your arms a lot, right? When you're walking, or a little, just a moment. You don't have to do it constantly. Um, but take your, let's play for a minute with your hands, right? So we get very stuck in hands in certain positions, typing, texting, right? It's very in and tight and closed. So often fingers could use a little opening. So let's just play with elbows right in front, bent. And you can start to pull, you can play with pulling all the fingers back. You could pull just a couple at a time. Be slow and gentle with it, because sometimes if you get too excited, it can kind of hurt. Um, and just to look at, there's a difference between the wrist kind of coming up and only stretching your fingers, right? And pulling the whole thing open, right? So at this point, I'm kind of pulling the whole thing open and trying to find a finger stretch. This one's actually super useful. It's useful as a break at the computer, but I find myself doing it more. You could do it while you're walking, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort to just take a minute and open up those fingers. Try the other side. Same thing. You could also do it in the car it's a great thing to do at a stoplight. You just have a minute. You can kind of use the steering wheel sometimes to just stretch your fingers back, just to open things up, right? If we're all closed here all the time, there's a lot of tension there. Just the opposite sort of thing that your body is getting. We get caged in to our little Tyrannosaurus Rex sort of hands close in. So again, it's play, right? You could do 3 fingers, 2 fingers, a different 2 fingers. all the fingers at once. And you can find where it's tight or sticky. You can play with the angle a little bit, but definitely at least get that kind of straight from your forearm angle all the way with the wrist. Because it's not just about the fingers, right? Do you feel how you get that pull through the wrist? You can also get your thumbs. If you do thumbs up like a little joystick, you can hold on like that joystick and just move slowly and sweetly. You could get out of hand with this. And if you really get the base of that other palm that you're using pretty low down, so it's not just kind of grab the whole thing, right? The base of the thumb goes really low. Do you feel that? Base of the thumb is way down here. So you can kind of hang on to the whole thing. Just give it gentle stretches in various directions. And notice, now that you're aware of this space, you'll notice as we age, you'll see this space start to narrow. You'll look around, you might see it in yourself already, but you might definitely see it in parents or some older folks. Just notice, and it starts to happen sometimes pretty early. So notice if that's starting to get a little close, and just, you can massage that open, give it a pull. We don't want our thumb, because we're constantly in this like doing tight position, right? You see how it's all closed up. Again, get out of that cage. It's part of the same thing with the whole body. Hands don't want to be in a cage. We don't want to lose that ability with the hands. Try the other side if you haven't already. Just remembering the thumb goes nice and low. We're losing this space. You'll look around and see it in other people and maybe yourself, and just say, hey, I'd actually like to have full range of my hands. I need my hands for my life. I would like hands that aren't in pain constantly. You may have arthritis. You may know folks with arthritis. We'll work on other, we're getting special balls coming in soon. We'll be able to work with your hands a little bit more in that way. But for now, just some stretches for your hands. Good. So that's fun. I mean, it can be kind of mindlessly while you're walking, having a little stretch, right? It doesn't take a lot. It can just be a little hello, a little rejuvenation for your hands. A couple other ones, and you can just pick the ones that you like the best to play with. You can try interlacing your hands, because this goes with the next one of just stretching your arms up overhead, but it's a little different. So interlace, be gentle, right? So press your finger. It's more about your fingers, right? Usually we think wrists, right? The usual kind of stretch overhead is wrist pressing. Just play with what's the difference if you press your fingers out more. And then here's the thumbs again. Widen the thumbs away from each other. Again, no right or wrong. You can stretch any way you want overhead, and it's going to be great for your shoulders and your ribs. But for your finger, for that same stretch we were just looking for the fingers, you can widen your thumbs, press through the fingers gently, right? We could really overdo this. And then try to press a little bit overhead, only so far that you could also keep your ribs down. Just, it's like that hanging, not popping the ribs up. And again, there's no wrong. You can pop your ribs up as much as you want. You can go back behind you, but also see if you can drop the ribs and see how far your arms go there, which isn't going to be quite as far back, right? Just notice that's a great stretch between your arms and your ribs. Relax that down, let your fingers play for a minute and float and fly and move around, right? Just wiggly fingers. And then if your hands are still feeling all right, try the opposite, interlacing, right? So there's a way that feels good, and then there's a way that feels weird. Do the weird way. It feels so weird. Press through the fingers, only a small amount, just whatever feels a bit stretchy. Open the thumbs, try to lift up. You can do that thing where you pop your ribs up first, if that feels nice. And then could you draw your ribs down and keep your arms pressing up at all? You don't have to take a long time. It's just there as a little play. And I'll give you one last one, and you can just pick your favorite. Okay, this one is palms together, the back of your palms together and down. You're going to make a fist and put your thumb in your fist. Your arms are down. It's hard to do in a chair, but once your arms come up, it'll feel right. So you just start to bring your arms up, folding. And at some point it's like your fingers will start unfolding because there's not enough room to keep that space. So you want to keep your fist and just see how high you can go. My index finger starts to want to unfurl pretty quickly there. You can kind of keep it in. So just a little bit more back of the wrist stretch where we get a little tight. Shoulders can be down. Notice mine are like, I got it. Oh, down. Just see if you can keep the, again, index fingers in, all of them curled in. It's tricky. And it's just another stretch. From here, last one in sitting, take your arms wide to the side. So just huge wingspan, kind of like we're doing our snow globes, which again, that's a great one to do as well. Just marching your arms. Your legs are moving, but you can just move your arms wherever. Way up to the side, and you're gonna flex your wrists in opposition. As one goes back, the other comes forward. And see if you can reach so wide that you almost get a crazy like fascial pull. And if you're not quite getting a pull, you can try letting your head move a little bit to the side. You might get a big pull through that fascial. It feels like your skin, that fascial line getting pulled feels like your skin. So you can just play with finding a little tug there, rotating, flexing the wrists. So that's that big pull and the head movement. Any of that gets that nice pull, gives you more space, right? We're no longer in that cage of settled position. You get to bust out of the cage. If you're outside, it always feels nice, just moving the arms anywhere. So that can be on top of any sort of walk. The finger stretching casually, the thumb movements and pulls casually while you're hanging out, walking. The big stretches, the big overhead, and release the fingers and have it be about your fingers and thumbs. So all of that. Just remember your above space when you're walking, you could use instead of always just having your arms down by your side. And then just to review, so many of our things that are so great to get your walks feeling better. Let's grab whatever you use for your calf stretch. Let's get that here. I've got a blanket all rolled up. Go ahead and do the things that are so good for, so this would be amazing right before a walk or the day that you're, if you do a little bit of a walk every day because you've got the dogs or it's so important. If you already have these things mixed in your day, great. If you could put it in before one of your walks, one of these things before one of your walks can make a huge difference. All of these things can be done pretty quickly as well. But you've got the calf stretch. So the top of your front of your foot is up on a surface, a half roller, rolled up towel or blanket, a couple of books is probably less comfortable, but you could try it. Heel is on the floor, and then it's that kind of constant seeking a little bit more stretch with the back foot coming forward as far as it wants to go. The sprained ankle side is doing way better, and I can finally bring my other leg out in front, right? Just stacking and breathing. Here is also a place if you ever wanted to multitask, any sort of arm stretches, finger stretches, right? It could all happen here. Could be old ones that you've done in a fitness class before, right? You got that pull across, they do. So you just hang out here. It doesn't matter how long. If you've got a short amount of time, you get there, you take a breath, you move on to the other side. This could be, try the other side. Over here. This could also be while you've got the dog. If you're walking with your dogs and there's a curb. I know here in Colorado there's a lot of those soft curbs as opposed to the drop off. So if you have some of the softer curbs, you could do this on outside while you have the dogs, right? And just as it's going to help you improve your alignment right away and give you space in that back body, this can even help with neck tension that you might carry on your walk or any time in your day. So quick and easy, right? Just like costs nothing. It's very, very simple. Doesn't take much time. And can really make a difference in how you're standing and where your weight is, which is going to make a difference with how you walk. The other big one, if you had time for an extra thing after that, it's going to be any variation of the happy hamstrings or squat with happy hamstrings or hanging with happy hamstrings. So what we've done in almost every class, right? Right, the sits bones up and open. If you're doing this on the regular, again, ideally it's still sometime in your day before your walk. Maybe it's right before, and it could be straight legs, sits bones lifted, right? You're just trying to make sure they have freedom away from the hamstrings so that when you go to walk, this isn't stuck together and messing with the way you walk. You want freedom in those hips. Finding that squat position, whether you've done floor sitting for the day or you're just doing it right here real quick in that happy hamstrings mode where you're feeling the sits bones open, you're feeling your glutes maybe say hi, right? And you get low, like, hello glutes, where are you? I'm going to need you for my walk. Not that you're squeezing your butt during your walk, but they're stable. You feel like there's support system there. So finding your glutes. And then finding that lengthened hang here as well, where you're finding your ribs opening and a little breath. Having room to breathe during a walk is always lovely and very important as well. Right? And then you come on up. Might be that simple. And just walk around your space for a second. And I know we didn't do a pre-walk, but some of the things that you might feel after doing some of that work is a little bit more ease around the shoulders and hands for your swing, right? You need a nice arm swing to support your walk, a freedom in your hips and your pelvis, right? There's a little bit of an ease there, some space, so things aren't so sticky. Good, and then eventually we'll talk more about, or we're going to do more work on your feet as soon as we get these balls that are coming in soon. I think next month you'll have special balls that we can use to support your feet in a way that's going to blow your mind. So for now, come on back to your chair, just with a nod or a thumbs up. Do you feel, I guess, again, we didn't have a before or after to really pay attention to, but do you feel how it could be a different walk after you've opened up the legs a bit? It's just like a different way of walking it's gonna be more comfortable for your body. It's gonna feel better. But then in terms of function, all the patterns, it's gonna change your patterning to create less compression, less wear and tear in your joints, even on a walk. So something that you would do in a repetitive way. So that's all that I wanted to share today in terms of movement, and just planting the seed for where in your day could you add a more consistent walk if you don't have one. And for one of my favorite things to do with that is walking meetings or walking phone calls when that's doable. Often if I'm meeting, I do free 20-minute consultations with new people that are trying to figure out, are you a good fit for me? Is this what you do? I'm not sure. And often those I will do out on a walk while I'm chatting. So if there's any way where part of your workday, if it's already scheduled in with the dogs, that's a pretty great, consistent, lovely thing. Even if it's in small bits during the day, those calls are only 20 minutes. And my husband will always be like, I can't go out on a walk. Like, I need a full hour to go out on a walk, like a nice walk. And it's like, I don't get that between, my kids and the dogs and my work. For me, it's the little tiny bits throughout the day. It might be 10 minutes around the block in the morning, and then 20 minutes later in the day, and then an evening walk after dinner. That might be it. So just a reminder that there can be many ways to get out there and walk, that you can put on, bring an umbrella if the weather isn't lovely. You can still walk in snow. Sometimes I need that reminder. It's like, still go outside. Like, it's not going to hurt you. Luckily, we have a beautiful weather right now in Colorado. I don't know what it's like where everybody is, but invitation, go out walking more, see if you can figure out little ways, even if it's short, it's worth it. Getting outside is worth it. It's its own movement vitamin. And then walking with all the other support that you're creating for your body is a whole different ballgame. And it's really, really amazing. All right, so experiment with that. Let me know how it goes. Any questions for you before I get going? Or if you want to celebrate some ways that you already do this or anything, feel free to let me know.
No questions.
Awesome.
No questions. Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Thanks, Janine. I will not be here next week, and then we'll get back to it the following week, the 31st, after Memorial Day.
Okay,
Awesome. Have a great vacation.
All right. Thank you.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.